everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. Monday night, we are back in action. Well, two of us are back in action. I'm your host, as always, Timucin here in freaking freezing Chicago. It's supposed to get nice at the end of the week, but it's freaking cold, man. Winter is here. It's had to warm up the car, and that's a sign that shit's going downhill over here. But no Bickler today. He's out there training people or something scary. The thought of that is scary by itself. I don't know what he can, maybe like mustache tricks, or
I was going to say it's clearly not
people
shaving training. That's for sure. I'll tell you that right now. But no, it's shitty up in Western Mass. It is not rain. It is not cold as much as it is rainy. We had like monsoon-esque weather. So the 90-minute commute to work and back today was extra fun in the extra torrential rain. And like I'll leave between 2:30 and 3-ish, do some more work when I get home. So I beat like rush hour traffic. I stayed in the office for an extra 45 minutes because it was literally like you could look out the window and it looked like a monsoon. And I was like, I don't know. I not only don't want to drive in that, I sure as F don't want to walk in that to my car. Because I did not bring a rain jacket because I don't look at the weatherman's forecast because, well, it's 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm leaving my house. And if I watch the weather, my wife would kill me.
Dude, umbrellas and jackets are for wimps. You're just gonna man it up and get out there and get soaking wet. But yeah, no, it snowed here. Like not accumulation, but the dusting where I was like, what is going on out there? Kind of a deal. But yeah, winter is here. Chicago, I can't run away from it. Alan, Brian in the audience already. Alan rubbing it in that is freaking cold over there. 40, 48. Yeah, I mean, we're basically down to 30s over here now. So worst is yet to come, people. Hang in there. But it can't get any worse for us, it feels like, in the Liverpool side of things. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the international break is here. This has been a rare year where we're almost happy to see international break. I know I am at times, just to get some relief out of it. But we had a weird week, right? We talked last Monday about the Villa game, and then we said, hey, two big tests over there. It's one of those where you aced one test and then you went into the second one hungover from celebrating the one you aced, or I don't know what the heck that was, but it's been kind of like a weird week. And I guess that's what's getting to me. Before we kind of like really analyze the game, I just feel like it is going to be that kind of a year for one, especially until maybe the later parts of the year, once things settle down and get established a bit more. I'm just kind of like overwhelmed and annoyed and frustrated with the ridiculous ups and downs of the fan base on socials overall, even like, channels, like, and like legit channels, not just, bozos like us, if you will. But, like channels out there just flipping one way back and forth based on the day after the match.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're supporters. They're frustrated. They're irritated. They don't really understand it because they came into the year with such high expectations. And I think, when you root for West Ham, you root to get into every season and be safe, right? Like get to January, be safe, maybe have a shot at Europe. And they had those couple years, the years under Moisey where they took the runs in the Europa League. They went far one year. I think they made the semifinals, lost to Barcelona or somebody.
Yeah, because they won the conference, right?
Then they won the conference after that. So they kind of like validated their plight. And then they've gone back down, struggled, and they've been now in a relegation area, and they look like they might be turning a corner. And I use that as an example because I think those sides can understand these ebbs and flows and swings a lot better than, say, a club like us that has had unbridled for success for close to a decade. Like, we probably don't get enough credit for how good this side was under Jurgen Klopp because they didn't win enough, as people like to say, because the City side won all those titles. I mean, we lost a league on 97 and 99 points. We lost a league title by a millimeter, and it was the only loss of the year, and it was an away fixture. And I think that, to me, is the biggest story that comes out. And I do want to talk a little bit about the Madrid matchup and maybe the differences to what happened at City this weekend to try to figure out if we can see a reasoning behind it. But losing a match at Manchester City is not the end of the world. I'll guarantee if we look back, Chelsea might have lost at City a year where they won a title in the last 10 years. Like, you can lose at City and still go on to great things. You can't lose at City when you've already lost at Brentford, Chelsea, Palace, and home to United.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's the bigger crime here. Isn't that they lost to City? It's the manner in which they lost to City.
I was going to say more than the results. It's just kind of like how it went down. And, you know, we can talk about it. I mean, I don't even know if there's anything to talk about aside from the inconsistency of the PGMOL than anything else. That probably should have been a goal because it was a goal before. If it was a goal for City,
should have been a goal
for us.
Should have been a goal. I was
even
wrong.
Slot said that it would have been an unfair result if it went into halftime as like tied.
And honestly, would it have gone in at tied? Because if after having that goal taken away from you, the ups and the downs, right? The emotional side of the wrong call and being wronged. If then you don't get to the fact that you're at the board goes up and you see 7 minutes. In my mind, the only thing they needed to be doing at that moment was like defending, kicking the ball as long as they could every time and making sure they got to halftime at 1-0. Like, when that goal gets taken away from you, in my mind, that team had to like galvanize itself. And it almost felt like it did the opposite. It almost felt like when the goal went away, City got their tails up and were like, there's blood here. We can go kill these guys right now.
Like winning the lottery, isn't it? But it's almost like winning the lottery, like where you thought you won the lottery. I almost feel like sometimes when they take these goals away, I think it might change the momentum. If you look at the play, probably, I mean, definitely against the run of play and everything like that, and you didn't go into the, halftime dessert. But I almost liken it to like winning the lottery, where before you bought the tickets, you were probably fine, right? Like, it's not like your whole life depending on like winning the lottery. But then I say, oh, you won the lottery. You get all high. Then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was an 8. I guess it was a 6. And now you're back. You're not back to where you were. You're almost like under where you were, because there's that whole, like, the air comes off of it.
You definitely are. But you are the defending champions. And one side played that thing like a cup final and the other side played it like a friendly. And unfortunately, we were on the side playing it like a friendly. And that was really disappointing. Like, and it's not the first time this year. Palace played that match at Palace like it was a cup final. They came out raring and ready to go from minute 1. And this is like becoming a really, really scary, I don't want to call it a habit, but it's just happening too often. The way that they are starting matches on the road, and this goes to even matches that we won. Like, you could argue the only half we had a good first half in, outside of maybe Newcastle on the road, and even that wasn't a great first half, was really the Burnley first half, and even that was shite. Like, we were terrible against Palace. We were terrible against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Terrible against Brentford. And then terrible again against City. And something with the setup, something I do think with the just running out the same guys, but I don't think it was a personnel issue. It seemed like it was just an understanding of what they were all trying to do. That, or they're just starting to, because of all the mental errors they're having and the guys they're carrying. And let's be real, they're carrying Konate right now. Like, what does Joe Gomez need to do to get a start? And I understand you want to keep starting the same guys, but what Konate did, and I'm sure we'll get to Konate at some point, it was just absolutely, it was embarrassing. I mean, literally, we can talk about the goal all we want, but Konate's play in that first half, I mean, all hail to Bradley. He put in like a 6.5 out of 7 performance, and to do that next to that guy, it's like basically,
I remember like we used to say like he's got Trent over there and stuff. It was like the reverse role where like he was taking care of the center back on the playing right back. On a couple of things, like going back to your like West Ham thing, I think the biggest deal, and that's why I think it's over the top now, is where we were. if we finished last year 3rd or 4th, right? Then you went on like a summer spending spree to improve. I think people almost would be a bit more patient and a bit more understanding of like how it's going to take time and stuff like that. I think the fact that you were the title winner and fairly easily at that, and then you bring these guys in, people almost like took it to another level where they thought, now we're going to win by like 20 points and stuff. And we kind of looked past because of the quality, guys. I remember when I said it in summer, everybody freaking piled on me. I'm like, doesn't matter how good the guys you're bringing in. Change is always tough. Like adjustment is always tough. But 100%. It goes back to what you're saying. I can live with we watch games in the past, Slot era, Klopp era, doesn't matter who the hell the manager is, where we've trotted out the backups to, again, to play against Plymouth, to play against whoever in the FL Cup and stuff. So we can kind of look at a game and say, okay, the disconnects are very obvious because these guys have never played each other, even though there are guys who normally play in the starting 11. It could be Jones, whatever. Like they're all quality players, but together they're playing like crap. And we've said, well, you can kind of tell the disconnect and stuff like that. So we understand when we see disconnect. I think the main issue is it's like what you're saying. We look at it and we also almost see, and I don't want to see lack of efforts, but definitely less efforts than the team you're playing against, where you're second to everything. You look sluggish and second to everything. It looks like you just ate like a bowl of pasta and then came out there and play against a team who didn't.
The intensity levels are just night and day between us and the opponent, and especially in the first 45 minutes. And at this level, and maybe that is this is not a shot at Real Madrid, though anyone who listens to this podcast knows Callie does not hesitate from taking shots at Real Madrid. Maybe this is more of a conversation about European football versus the Premier League and the differences of that intensity level and what it takes. You cannot show up for a football match at 45 minutes, make adjustments, and win in the Premier League, especially on the road. You will get found out. If you are not there from minute one, and we weren't there from minute one, and I'm still not sure, I see people, and we had it all day yesterday in our Discord channel, in between the fire and the manager, in between substitutions. We're firing the manager. We're questioning the manager. Wednesday, we took all the for sale signs off of his lawn because everything worked out right. And by Sunday, we had him back up on a stake like he's the, college football coach at the University of Alabama, and they just lost a game to East Tennessee State, even though they actually lost to like Auburn. In this instance, like it doesn't make any sense to me. I thought it was a little over the top, but we can maybe touch on that with some of our takes on the social media stuff and what's really fueling this. But they look the reft of a plan, and that bothers me the most because people say they sat off too much and they were sitting back and they were just taking on the pressure and they were playing passively. Well, I saw 2 or 3 times, and I noticed it because we talked about it last Monday on the podcast about Szoboszlai becoming a better leader. Me and Kazi talked about it in the Friday morning show about how he's becoming more vocal. There are 2 or 3 times he just turns around and starts screaming at Gravenberch in the middle of play, like, I'm pressing here, like we're triggering the press. Yeah. What are you doing? And he's leaving all the space. So I ask you, is Gravenberch, is Szoboszlai deciding he should press? Because to me, Szoboszlai is the new Jordan Henderson. He is the new Steven Gerrard. He is the manager's plant on the pitch. Like the manager sends him out with a job to do and says, you drive this. You do the running. When Szoboszlai presses, I expect if that's the manager's direction, everyone's going to press around him. Yet, so is Gravenberch deciding there he can't press? Is Gravenberch like literally fearful that he knows they're attacking Konate? Because they clearly targeted Konate to allow him possession of the ball. And we've seen this before, but they targeted him throughout the match. And it also felt at times like they were even trying to target Bradley because they were targeting Konate, because they knew Doku was just playing the game of his life and Mo sure as hell wasn't going to track back.
Well,
So
I
there
think
was so
that's
much space.
twofold, right? So Mo is not going to track back, and you're riding the hot hand at the same time. But I think they were going to ride Doku either way because
Oh,
Pep
yeah.
is smart enough to know that's the side to attack. I mean, it has always been the side to attack, and I think that's where we come to a little bit of midfield helping. That's nothing new. It was because of Trent in the past. Now, I'm not saying it's because of Konate, but I mean, I don't know, like
It is.
anybody who knows anything about the sport. If I say, hey, are you going at Robertson and Van Dyke or Bradley and Konate? I mean, you have to be an idiot to say I'm going at Robertson and Van
except
Dyke.
For that
over.
first goal. Except for that first goal where the two of them decided they'd swap positions only for Virgil to basically throw a temper tantrum and try to run back to the center when he has no business doing it. I mean, you're a center back, right? When you were playing center back, if you were to inadvertently let's be real, Virgil went out there. It was his choice to go cover that space as Robertson's coming back. I never defended. Rightfully so, because I was terrible at it and I gave no effort whatsoever other than to kick people. That was the level of my defending. But I was in enough practices running around trying to kick defenders, hearing things like, if you two end up in each other's positions, like, unless the ball goes all the way back to like the midfield line or back to the keeper, like if the ball goes out of bounds, you don't just swap spots on the fly, because if we're still in danger, we're in danger. Just do each other's jobs or make sure you have that communication. And it felt to me like Robertson was like, I got this, I'm good. And I'm trying to figure it out. Does Virgil not want to be out there anymore? Is Virgil worried that Holland is going to split Robertson and Konate and he just doesn't trust Konate to win that battle? Because he gets caught in no man's land. He switches with Robertson. Robertson can't get out to close down that cross. Nunez has literally, I think Nunez thinks about crossing, stops, dribbles back like he's going to dribble.
The problem there is
goes,
he has way too much time.
I'll do this again.
Yeah.
And even before it got to Nunez, Bernardo Silva picks up the ball on the edge of the box.
Yep.
And goes, and just looks around and finds Nunez on the right. Like, it just felt so disconnected. And then let's be real. For some reason, Konate decides he's going to do like a flicked header instead of just clearing the ball as a 6'5" center back. Holland has no clue about that, by the way. It misses Konate and it bounces off his
Konate,
head.
Though. That's just unlucky on Konate. I mean, look, he screwed up a bunch of stuff. I think that's unlucky on Konate.
You watch that back and you don't think that's a fault on the center back?
Not on Konate, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's just unlucky. The way the ball is coming, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge, right? Because you got to look at it from Konate's angle. But the way the ball is coming, last thing you want is trying to clear that towards the middle or away and then basically bring it down to an attacking player. So I understand what he's trying to do. It's almost like a back post move where you're trying to almost like bounce it back. Somehow, freaking Holland, the freaking freak of nature he is, you got to figure normally, a dude as tall as Konate, when you get up, I mean, I can't speak for this because I was never that guy, but if you flick towards the back, I mean, there's no way the guy behind you should be tall enough to kind of like get over.
But the guy behind you is the biggest and baddest mofo
but he doesn't know
in the
exactly
land.
Like how high he's going to be. I don't put that on him. On a goal like that, man, I put that on basically what you were saying earlier.
Virgil
two
and
guys
Robertson
staring down the box for like literally 5 to 7 seconds before that gets ball in, and nobody. This is the Premier League. I mean, if you give anybody that much time, they should be able to get a wicked cross in there, which he does.
It's not like, I'm really not trying to just fully take the piss out of him, because we can find 5 more times throughout the match. I mean, let's be real. We get to that goal after he has made an absolute farce of the penalty. The penalty is on Mamardashvili, but the penalty is on Konate, because Bradley has Doku completely sorted. And then Konate runs into him, knocks a defender down, falls down himself, almost takes the penalty himself, forces the keeper to come out and take a penalty. I still think that even if there isn't a penalty there, there's a handball right after it on us in the box. Like, it doesn't even matter. And then the big fucking 7-foot Georgian decides, well, fuck you, I'm going to save this penalty. And we're all going crazy. And they still can't get up from that. Like, we talked about the disallowed goal negatively impacting Liverpool,
Yeah.
like they sleepwalk. You should sleepwalk after the greatest striker in the world misses a penalty at home 7 minutes in. They didn't, because they knew we were ripe for the getting. And that, to me, it fears me that opponents target Konate. 5 years ago, Paul told us he was the future of Liverpool Football Club, and he was going to replace Virgil van Dijk, and he was the most important defender on the team. And I started to agree with him at times. I heard something today. I can't take credit for it, but it's a brilliant point. His problem is he's never evolved as an adult football player, because he's not mature enough to figure out how to give you a 7.5 to an 8 or 6.5 to a 7 when he's not at his best. He's either a 4 or a 9. Like, the guy was the man of the match in a Champions League final that we lost, by the way. He's won everything. Yet I would ask you to give me one performance where Virgil van Dijk is not next to him that you thought you saw a world-class center back.
I think that's the problem, right? He's basically been the player he has because he has Van Dijk next to him. And I think with him, look, you can be a winger and get away with that 4 and 9. You will not be a great one, but you can kind of wing it.
But you can do it because in the 9, you get 2 goals and an assist, and everybody remembers it.
Yeah. Whereas, when you're and that carries it for a couple of games, right? That's the thing. But as a defender, you can't afford to have a 4. You have to have a bare minimum. His consistency has always been the issue. And I think over time, I always thought that would be an area he would improve. He's still a young guy, especially for a center back. He's young. I mean, every team that we play against has basically, and this is when Trent was there. So we thought maybe, okay, like, you don't want Trent to have the ball. You don't want Van Dijk to do the diagonal. You know what? Let Konate have the ball. You bring the ball up, buddy. Let's see what you got. And that's what every team has done. They have even after Trent left, they were like, you know what? We don't even want Bradley having the ball. We want Konate to have the ball. And over time, I was hoping he would improve that aspect of his game. And there are occasional glimpses of like a nice through ball and stuff that we used to get a lot from like Matip. I feel like we used to get a lot more from like Gomez as well, because Gomez at least has the threat to suddenly push up with speeds and is a bit better on the ball. You just don't get that with him. And I think, if anything, he's hurting himself, right? Like, we started out the season talking about, how many times did we talk about January? Do we sign him? Do we sell him because he's going to go to Real and stuff? I don't know if Real is looking at this and be like, I don't know about this, especially when it comes to paying him high wages.
There's no possible way this club can be talking to him right now about a long-term contract that has a 2 in front of the first number in that contract weekly price. There's just no way. And it makes more and more sense why they were so interested in both a young option like Leone and Nguehi, because, and it's too bad Leone got hurt, because I think we'd literally be seeing minutes for him at the Premier League level, or to Jamie's point from the comments, maybe we would be more apt to be starting Gomez. Because I do think the manager is nervous about using Joe Gomez with the fear that if he gets hurt, he's down to just 2 fit center halves. And right now, it's what he has. And maybe January changes that. Now, it blew my mind the other day. I saw a medical update that they expect Leone to be trading in late December. Like, was the injury not as big of a deal? Like, they have him out until late December 2025. I was like, at first I reread it. I was like, is it 2026?
Like Frankenstein stuff. I don't understand how because he was,
he does kind of look like a patient.
He might hit the pitch then, but not be able to do content and stuff like that. Jamie says, do you actually go as far as to start Gomez? I honestly,
I'd start him against Forest.
It's hard to make a case against it at this point.
I'd start him against Forest.
Yeah, Steve says Van Dijk is not, and I agree to this, but maybe deep inside, I expected Van Dijk to slowly, diminish in skill as he gets older and older. But I also thought we would be better defensively, having an actual right back playing right back, a more mature, Konate, and a faster left back who can track back faster and catch up with wingers and stuff like that. in Kirkes. So I figured that level slightly dropping because it is natural, and he will have to adjust his game. You were asking earlier about, like, no center back wants to go out wide. I mean, no center back wants to go out wide. And, so that's basically natural. But I think he will have to automatically adjust his game a little bit. You can't have the same Van Dijk that you had 2 years ago now and 2 years from now. I just find it hard to, when people go and pick on Van Dijk's performances now, I think it's mostly because you kind of got used to ridiculously over-the-top superhuman performances. He's a bit more human now, more than anything else. I do not find... yes, he's not the same guy. The biggest part that I liked about Van Dijk was the fact that when he cuts these long played balls, he was able to put them back in play. It was very controlled and stuff. You can kind of see that he kind of struggles with the pace and stuff at times. But I don't know, man. When we talk about how good Konate, Matip, Gomez and stuff looked,
it all comes down to playing next to him. It all comes down.
At the same time, can't you say that guy is going to look slightly worse because he has Konate next to him?
Sure. Or earlier in the year it was Kirkhead next to him, but then yesterday it was because he had Robertson next to him. And for all the people out there that are like, I'm just so happy Virgil has Robertson because he never has to worry about what's on the left. He did a lot of yelling yesterday.
I mean, he's always yelled at Robertson. They grew up yelling.
But my point is, this was that great story we were hearing when people wanted to bash Kirkhead and talk up getting Robertson back in the lineup. It was get Virgil his comfort. He doesn't even have to think about it. He doesn't even look out that way. Then they get into this little intertwined mess. I will say the calm as you like stuff works when it's working for you. But when the nonchalant stuff, and we saw it like the Community Shield, the bad goal he gave up against Palace in the Community Shield. He was a little slow in tracking that one. The dangling foot, whether it's a penalty or not, and we all know the ref wouldn't have gave it as a penalty against Brentford, but he had no choice once the VAR said it was in the box. That's a lazy play where he could get out and get a block on him, but he kind of just dangles the leg out there. The dangling the foot out yesterday, I don't put it purely on him for the Nico Gonzalez deflection, but the old Virgil van Dijk would have closed that down quicker and got a block in there. That one to me is 100%. That's Hugo Ekitike not tracking a guy. I mean, it's so bad.
Nowhere to go for Van Dijk on that one.
I want to be clear. Like, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, Virgil's job's to block the shot. Ekitike's job, his only job on that corner, is to break out and close down that runner on the outside of the box.
Yeah.
Like, when the ball recycles. And then, it's a shitty deflected goal. So you got one that bounces off a striker's face. He doesn't even know about it. You have another shitty one. You block a penalty and you have a goal unrightfully chalked off. Yet there's a world where you probably should have been down more.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely how bad that first half was. And, I know people were calling for substitutions, but 2 weeks ago, all I heard was just get me to 45 minutes and show you how to plan and stick with the guys you started with.
Yeah.
Stop chopping. We can't have it both ways. We were back 5 days ago. And then I had to hear, well, they played on Tuesday against Real Madrid. Manchester City played on Wednesday against Dortmund, and they had to fly to Germany. Like,
the thing I don't like is everybody was like, that's
crazy.
The lineup. This is the same lineup. You should stay with the same lineup. So when this lineup comes up, nobody has a complaint. And afterwards, when things don't go well, should have done this, should have done that. Same thing with, like I say, like he was a fraud on Saturday, or he was a fraud on Friday. He was making his way back on Saturday. He was fully back on Tuesday. Now he's gone again. It's just changing way too much. I understand what Deluded Steve is saying, and I'm okay with people thinking that as long as they're not changing it every other day. So there is definitely dysfunction in terms of, I don't think it's the squad. I think
I was just going to say
the combinations, if you will.
Yeah. Early in the year, it was too much change, right? Not enough continuity. He started, unfortunately for him, based on a tragic death and the inevitable soft muscle tissue injury of our goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He had no choice but to start a new center forward in this match. And he had no choice but to start a different keeper. Everybody else is the team from last year that won the title. And I don't know that the tactics are that much different outside of the fact, to your point, Virgil does look a little older. Mo looks a lot older.
Yes.
And Konate is struggling mightily. And we've seen that. And we know we have a new right back, but he's probably a better defender. To me, this comes down to City wanted it more. City gave more. They won the second balls. Like that first goal, we turned the ball over like 85 yards from our goal. They are literally looking to fall down and win a free kick in their final third just to get out. And then they look up and go, oh, look, there isn't a single player in the middle of the pitch. 20 passes later.
Yeah, I mean, the way they came out of that freaking press. One thing that, I hate to say that because we were totally okay with the move, and I still am. It still makes sense, but I think we are missing it is the one different player is Diaz.
Yes, yeah.
Not being
it's still the right
think
move.
In a game like this, sometimes when you struggled, we used to get that from Mo as well. You can give it to your winger, and I think Diaz was the
gets you up.
Diaz was yesterday would have been what Doku was to them, and we did not have a Diaz. And I think we could never build up the numbers. There were times, I mean, Wirtz he didn't play great, but he was doing some stuff where he was getting them yellow cards and stuff because he was getting past people. But then there were so many times, I would say the same for Modo, where they get the ball on the wing, look up, there's nobody. I don't know if it was like tired legs or we were like finally happy to finally get the ball back. We never built the numbers up top again. It was almost like 1 against 4, 1v3 and stuff like that. And I know what, Jamie's saying, going back to this over here. Here's what I worry about. And I know what he means, because what's going to happen is you're going to have the Joe. I know what he means by inevitable happening. We're going to have a vintage Joe error or anything like that. But I think my deal is when you do the same thing over and over, there has to be something. When you talk about dysfunctional and stuff, there has to be some kind of an accountability, number one, right, for your performances. If you're giving grades, like you're saying, you can't be 4, 4, 4, 4 and still keep your job. And also I worry about, what are the other people thinking there? Like, what is Gomez thinking? Let's say you don't care what Gomez thinks. What is Bradley thinking? What is Van Dijk thinking in terms of, like, how much longer are we going to watch this? I mean, we all play with people who injuries inevitable. I'm sorry, Jamie. I thought you meant like a Joe mistake.
I thought the goal was inevitable.
The goal is very inevitable.
The goal is the least inevitable. The goal is the least evitable thing of all time.
So I think that's what I worry about is like, how much do you do that over and over and over again? We've all had, when we played, when you work in your professional life now, a dude who does not carry his weight, right? Or a gal, whatever, but after a while that gets to you. You got to get rid of that guy because it affects the guys, everybody else who's actually doing their job, morale-wise, performance-wise. And I don't think it's fair to pin we can't get to 1 second ball on the pitch to Konate in the back over there, because I thought, we were pool all around. But I just can't. It's very hard to pull Joe Gomez into a meeting room right now as slots and explain to him why he's not playing. I know why he's not playing right back. We only have 3 center backs. We probably don't want him on the pitch at the same time. But how do you make I don't even know how you have that meeting with Chiesa either. I feel like there's so many people in this where I will be very difficult to get him in a room and say, hey, man, this is why you're not getting minutes, or this is why you're not playing.
Yeah, they're definitely your players. I think I made a comment a few weeks back on one of these shows, like, there must be 4 or 5 guys like in a line sometimes, like waiting outside the manager's office. Like, hey, can I get a minute, Skip? Like, want to talk to you about something? And he's like, let me guess. You would like to know why you're not playing. Mo Salah. Oh, Ibu Kanata.
Next.
Next. In comes Robertson. Kirk. Like, I mean, listen. And I understand the manager. I think he made some mistakes this year. I don't think it's all gone his way. I can understand the Match Rutness comments. I can understand the concerns about the depth at center back and maybe sticking with what you have. But to your point, if you truly are putting players out there for what is best for them and what is best for the team moving forward, then you need to hold some of these players accountable. And we talk a lot about the new players, the continuity, what we're missing. Let's be real. They're really missing right now. The biggest thing is the entire offense, whether we like it or not, is still running through the right wing and the right winger. Like that yesterday, not good enough. He has 2 or 3 chances to get the ball in frame. I don't think he has a shot on goal. He's in once. There was a day, and I understand he's 33 and maybe you have to be ready for these days, but there was a day when he would have saw Nico O'Reilly and been like, you're going to have a great career, young man. Not fucking today.
Yeah.
Not today.
And it almost like started like that at one point, right?
He a little bit, but even a couple times he got
on Discord when he got injured. He was like, he's checking out. He's like,
I thought maybe he was like, I'm done. Coach, come get me. But I think then he realized, like, nah, I don't even have to. I think Nico O'Reilly said to himself, I don't even have to go full speed. I can keep up with this guy. And when his touches lets him down, look, if Mo Salah is passing the ball backwards as much as he's trying to dribble forward, you're in trouble. And that's what I saw. I saw an awful lot of us getting the ball out to Mo as our outlet to hold things up, to bring players in. By far, in my opinion, Ekitike's worst match in a Liverpool shirt. I thought he was I think he worked hard. I think he made the runs. But I don't think he showed enough. I think his hold-up play is weak. I think what's happening now is because he's been asked to play way more football than they ever expected him playing to this point of the season, he's getting exposed. There's a little bit too much tape on the young kid from Germany that everyone thought was not a project. Because he is very good. And I think he's going to be exceptionally talented. And I'm really excited for AFCON to see what it looks like with a system being built around him and Isak. But let's be real. If this team wants to turn it around with those plum run of fixtures through November, December, right up to the January match with Arsenal, Isak has to get firing. And Isak has to become the focal and best player in the attack. We paid big money for the best striker in England. It's time for him to play like it because we haven't seen an ounce of it from me.
And I think, like Jamie says, and I agree with this. I think I agree with what you're saying. He was almost invisible. I don't know how much of that we put on him, how much of the fact that, we couldn't get the ball to him. He moved around. I think the problem with that is for a guy like Ekitike to be successful, he is very good at that interplay, but they were so far apart. So whenever, even if he could touch the ball, there's nobody near. That's what I was saying. Like when we were attacking, regardless of who got the ball out of the front three, whenever they got the ball, go back and look at the game. They just pause it when like Mo gets the ball, when Virs gets the ball, when Ekitike, look who's around them. And there is nobody to even create a little give and go with, make a triangle with. It was so far apart. Everybody was so far apart. And I think that's the biggest deal. But you have a point there. I don't think this kid is used to playing, leave alone the Premier League. Well, he's not used to playing 3 full 90s all the time. Not that he plays 90s, mind you, but still.
He can't even get us to 60 at this point. And he looked gassed before he came out on 56 minutes. And that's my point about him being overused. And that's not on him. That's unfair for him.
Yeah.
Manager needs to. I understand the substitutes. I didn't like the substitutes, to be real. Like, I knew Jones would come in. I needed Jones to come in. It got better when Jones came in my opinion. I don't think he was great, but I thought the game got better. The Wirtz thing into the false 9 made no sense to me. If you're going to do that and not have anyone on the penalty spot, give me Chiesa in his running, because at least he pops up, and like Holland, every once in a while, a ball bounces off Chiesa's face and goes in the net. And in a match like that, you need a guy who's just going to score a goal. But can we just really talk about maybe the most infuriating thing of the entire afternoon is it's 2-0. That ball gets flitted over the top and you realize that Gakpo's onside and somehow he doesn't get that ball on frame. Because if he uses his right foot, and this is where you really miss Jota, because Jota's running in on that ball knowing I could smash this with my left.
Yeah.
Or I could just cushion it with my right into
Honestly,
this
he's
bottom
sliding
corner.
in there. Remember that goal against United? It was him and Milner, like sliding in the back post. That's you missed that,
The
man.
fact that Gakpo missed that, and listen, if we score there and go on to score a second, we probably don't deserve anything from this match. And Doku still probably scores the worldie. But I mean, again, we lost to 2 balls bouncing off of faces and foots and little deflections, poor mental mistakes, and a worldie from 25 yards that the guy would have trouble recreating again. But he had himself an afternoon, and his afternoon deserved a goal. There were 2 or 3 other times they should have slipped him in. He was like just running in acres of space, and they like took the wrong pass. And every time he was like, how are we not looking for the guy playing the best? Like, I there was just something about the performance too. Gakpo comes on the pitch. He's on for like 10 minutes. It was almost like that Chelsea match a couple years ago. There's a period where like City takes the ball off one of our attackers. Maybe they took it off Soboslai, and Gakpo's just like jogging back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you son of a bitch, get on your bike. You just walked on the pitch. I understand you're Dutch. I understand you probably have a fire that burns and we don't understand it. But my God, you are infuriating to watch. Gakpo is, for me, the most polarizing player in this entire side. Because when we start our best 11, he's the player I think most Liverpool supporters point to and say, we can do better. We can get a better version of that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think so.
Like if all things are equal, we get better there. And part of it is the body language. Some of it is the fact that he's 6'4" and plays like he's me or you. And you can't hit a ball to him.
It's predictability. It's off the ball work rates, for example. I think that's like another
link up
issue
play with
him.
teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, I mean, people were, content with putting Ekitike on the left-hand side over him to get him on there because people liked what he was able to like contribute. I don't know if it would work on the wing or whatever. That's a different conversation. But I actually was going to, I thought Deluded Steve was like gonna keep typing like his honest opinion. I didn't realize he was asking my honest opinion. I was like, well, what is it? It's kind of a deal. But I don't know. I feel like there are players on this team, Mo being one of them, Robertson being probably another. Going back to what you're saying, while we are like, yes, keep trotting the same team out there, they just can't do what you want them to do, what you're used to seeing them do 3 times a week. And I agree think completely. You just did not get that. Expecting that is probably not realistic. I almost feel like it was the last game before international break. Man, roll the dice. If it happens again, if they give you that same performance that they did against Real, because, when he did it against Villa, we were like, oh, he likes playing against Dini and stuff. He did the same play. I mean, he played extremely well against Real as well, and you saw the work rate. And the same thing with Robertson. I just don't think they can give it to you 3 times a week, and it kind of showed. I mean, when you put it like that in terms of like the way they scored, like a deflection off the face and all that kind of stuff, which you're right, but I almost got the feeling that game, and I know because like we're frustrated from watching what we're watching, but we've had games like that, right? Like we're up 2-0 and we're kind of like, meh. Like, is it over yet? When is it going to be over? We got the slot special already.
Oh, the Madrid match earlier this year. They scored 2 deflected goals.
Kind of starts threatening or something like that, or maybe they even score one. We're like, okay, back to at it, and then we slap them around again and we score. We kick it in. We had a lot of games like that. It just felt like even if we made it 2-1,
they would have made it 3-1.
I know momentum changes and all that kind of stuff. I understand that, but the feeling I had was, yeah, they're just going to kick it in gear. It almost like the mercy rule. And then they took Doku out too. It almost looked like the mercy rule kicked in. They were like, you know what? Yeah, we're good. This is fine. Let's just go to the international break.
How much do you think any of it, and I mean, obviously preparation, these guys prepare like crazy people. Do you think any of it was the fact that, because it was a little different than what City has done to us in the past, both how Holland played and the way that they really attacked Konate? Like they haven't done that in the past, City. Do you think any of that's like Pep Linders being like, I ran practice for 3 years with this guy. Like there are deficiencies here we can exploit, and we're going to do it. Like we're going to make it look like we're attacking the 22-year-old Northern Irishman at right back. But really, we're attacking the guy on skates next to him, and we're just going to put the ball in his hands. Because
do you have to be Pep to say that, though? I can probably ask Stitch downstairs, and he'll be like, the right side, man. Attack Liverpool's right side. They watch enough games with me to know that the right, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take Pep. Like I told you earlier, like I say, hey, Konate, Bradley, or I mean, mind you, whenever
it's not
Colin
like they
has gone up against us, because he did miss a couple of games. I mean, whenever somebody has a big dude, it always goes, he goes against Konate. He's never going to go against Van Dijk. I mean, they always play the long ball to Konate's side. That's the curse of being the other center back next to Van Dijk. I think in the past, even when they did not get that win that ball, you had Van Dijk always there to clean it up, or you had Henderson over there to clean it up. Like if he didn't get a clear header to clear it, because that's the problem with Konate. Like when we were comparing like Van Dijk and Konate, Van Dijk at his prime, he would win the ball in the air and he would actually put it into play, not just win it and wherever it goes.
No, it was Konate, an attacking pass.
Like when he's going up for those, it's like, I want it, but whoops, it ended right on their attacking midfielder's foot kind of a deal. I think in the past you had Henderson and a better Van Dijk to be able to, and Fabinho to be able to clean up those. And last year, let's face it over here, by the way, Gravenberch had a brutal game. And let's not
I would argue it was his worst match of the season. Maybe his worst 90-minute performance since Slot took over.
Yeah, very possible. Looks, I mean, but that's the thing though, right? It just feels unfair because, like, who are you gonna pick as they had a really good performance apart from Szoboszlai, who's running like crazy?
And even that, he was good at running and he was good at the press of when he was trying to, but he had some mistakes and link.
Yeah, we have a 5-on-3 where I'm like, dude, what is that ball that you just played kind of a thing? But at least, you know, you can say you can be happy with the performance and give a passing grade.
Bradley, Szoboszlai, Mamardashvili.
Yeah.
I think when you save a penalty, even if you gave it up, you have to be given credit. And he made a couple key saves as well. Even his distribution a couple times was decent. And I love that one time where he kicked that ball across his body somehow. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, have you not learned we do not kick with the outside of our boot when we are the keeper? But on a positive note, at least that one went 40 yards up the field and not out for a throw-in where they could do a long throw-in. Because it really was like, you know, the subs didn't really do much for me. I wasn't a fan of the Gakpo sub. I didn't think he was good at all. I mean, I'd still ask the question if Isak actually played. I don't really have any. Kirkes was meh. I don't think he was terrible. Yeah. I saw again, though, like right online, someone went right to it. That's why you never bring him in for Robertson again. It's like, guys, if we're singling out Kirkes for the 30-minute performance where he like misplaced 2 passes and just like on a day where every other defender was actually involved in a goal being scored against us. Every single defender, except for Kirkes, had a goal scored against us, and someone's going to frickin' X and talking Kirkes smack at the full-time whistle. And maybe that's a place to like transition this to, of like how we've lost our heads. And
I think that's the problem. People, look, nobody is in the past. I was saying to Matush this morning, like, where is Lovren? Maybe we can sign him back and be like, hey, man, can you take all the blame for everything that goes wrong? Because we miss that guy right now. Kirkes is basically in the lead for that.
But he's a 22-year-old kid.
Everybody's picking like one guy to harp it on, and I think it's a lot more than that. I like, by the way, how Brian Shelton cannot even bring himself to use his name and say Mamardashvili, and he's like, the keeper did well. He's playing for us.
I mean, he spent a year and a half saying he'd never make an appearance in a red shirt.
He's like, you know what? At least I'm not going to use his name. I'm just going to refer to him as the keeper. The goals are not on the keeper. The keeper did well. Yeah, I thought he did well. Deluded Steve loves their turtleneck, by the way.
It's not actually a turtleneck. It's like a quarter zip thing.
Right?
But
Okay, let's not take the zipper all the way down. This is a family-friendly show over here, but more like we don't want everybody running away than anything else. But I think, yeah,
watch
let's
the
go back to that
ratings soar.
conversation.
Look at more viewers.
On the social media side of thing, and I think that's why is it semi-fair, and I do understand, I do think it's semi-fair. It's just over the top that when you can randomly point finger at a bunch of different players and make a semi-decent case for complaining about or blaming them for, whatever is happening, the common denominator is going to be the manager.
It's always the manager. Look, they get paid for this, but so do the players. And like, for all the talk, like we've used every excuse so far this season. We've used, and I hate saying it because it's real, but it started with before we kicked the ball, the Jota thing added a story that was an actual layer that they had to deal with. People don't recognize, right? But they all want to talk about how the players lost a mate. Nobody talks about the fact that the manager also lost a player that he coached and loved and cared about and had a relationship with. That 5 new players came into a club where you're supposed to do like stupid tandem bike days and you're supposed to have like team building bowling events and karaoke with the new players and all this stuff. Do you think any of that happened the first 3 weeks of camp while they were genuinely mourning the loss of a player? No. So these relationships didn't get fostered and built. That is the real impact for Jota for me, was the preparation to the season. It slowed down signing players. It slowed down the front office working on selling players. It slowed down the preseason starting. They had less training sessions. The manager told players, senior players, they didn't have to train during the time when you're all supposed to be getting fit. It's not an excuse because we win our first 5 matches, but we're not playing great, so it kind of makes sense. We then have the Isak saga. We bring in all the new players. He probably makes a mistake, starts too many of them up front. So then it's the new players causing these problems because God forbid we call the champions a problem. Then he goes back to the champions, and it's the tactics are the problem. But it's the same players from last year playing pretty similar tactics with a better bench, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We've had some
alternatives. Yeah.
Like, what I'm getting at here is we've almost used then it was the long balls, then it was the time wasting, and I'm a firm component of the time wasting. It's driving me fucking crazy. I can't wait till next week's show. We can talk about time wasting. We can talk about Harvey Elliott's fucking failed move to Villa. Like, there's so many Liverpool topics next Monday we can talk about, and we won't have to talk about a Liverpool loss, which unfortunately we have gotten really fucking good at talking about so far this year.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. Like, there is probably that's where the frustration is coming from, because it's not that apparent where, look, when we had that run, we were like, because we don't have any center backs, right? It was very easy. We could say, this is why. And I think now you can't say exactly what's why. And then people come up with these scenarios, like, if we did this, we do it. And now that doesn't work either. So, like, damn it, what I was advocating on social media for like 3 weeks just happened, and that wasn't the solution. Let me come up with a different solution and still blame the manager for attempting to use my last solution to see if it worked. It's just kind of like a vicious cycle. There's way too much overall frustration of not being able to pinpoint what's wrong, because I think it's as Mateusz says every Monday morning, bit of both, bit of a bunch of things.
It is a bit of a bunch of things. He's probably not wrong. Don't tell him I said that. But look, the biggest thing for him, in my opinion, is try your best to shut the fuck up. Like, you talk too much. I get it. You're Dutch. You're direct. You answer questions, and your job is to get asked questions and you answer them. But when you say things like, when you say things out loud in press conferences, like, well, after the City match, I said this, or after the Brentford match, I told you they used a lot of long balls and you called it excuses. I was trying to give them credit for this. And then in the United match, I thought we played better against United than we did against Villa. But then you throw back that. So, like, when that type of stuff happens, you open the door for the media talking heads to go deeper. You open the door for the trolls, and you open the door for the social media, And one thing I want to say is because there's a few of them that listen to this program, a few of them that are in our Discord channel that are wonderful people. A few of them are my friends. I might even host shows with.
Name names.
They want. We all know. It's the only one. He's the only Scouser that is now American.
I'm talking about Jamie like that. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But no, there's at some point along the lines, you got to make a call because you can't waffle every day. And I understand we live and die with the result for this. Yeah. We live and die with the results. And I was brutal Sunday afternoon. Like, I went to the pub. It's a football pub, right? An NFL football pub. I had them have the game on the big sound and the TV. And 1 o'clock came, and I knew, I had to let them move it over to the Patriots. But the owner was like, hey, if you want to go in the side room, you can keep the audio on. I had like 5 or 6 other tables of people, of guys I've recruited as Liverpool people. There's a big crowd. And I was miserable. And I remember saying to Kelly, like, I'm really sorry. I'll try to get out of this funk. Then the Giants go and lose. The Bills go and lose. The whole fucking day just got worse and worse and worse. But at the end of it all, I realized, like, the outcome, the result of this football team genuinely impacts my temperament, my mood, my outlook for the week, like how my Monday's going to be. But you can't let that cloud, like, the actual love for the club and the judgment of what you're saying. And these people, in my opinion, digging for stats and digging for things, like, you can throw at me that they've won as many matches or less matches in 2025 than Ruben Amorim has for Man United. And I'll tell you that 4 matches at the end of the season didn't matter because they were drunk celebrating winning a league.
Yeah.
And that if it wasn't for the last 4 out of 5, where they got 3 wins and 2 draws in their last 5 matches, it wouldn't be that close. And they don't have to play Europe this year. There's so many mitigating factors. Those are the types of facts that people use to create arguments to change actual facts of storylines. Like, those are the narratives we talk about.
I think perfect example is what you just gave, like adding March just to make it impressive stats, because everybody knows about why, like, correct, we lost those matches.
And at the same time, I don't even want to give, like, it's not even, and that's just one, and it's not just that one, right? It's this happened and it's never happened, and we get diatribes and people, like, we have folks that are now fixated on fixing this problem, and that fix is firing the manager. When that just is not in any way, shape, or form the way that this club has operated. Like, they gave Hodgson longer than this, and the guy didn't win a league in the first year he was here. I just don't, I genuinely don't understand people on November 10th acting like the manager needs to be relieved of duties, and like we're a month and a half away from it happening. Like, if we go on an absolute nosedive and January comes around and we're 14th, 15th in the league, maybe, because then the players have probably checked out and you probably see it. I don't see on the pitch. I see problems, but I don't see a group of guys that have given up on either the manager, the message. I see a bunch of guys who are struggling with confidence, haven't hit top form. I still see a side that I think, with the right mesh of everything, could go on and make this a really good season. Finish in the top 4, maybe win a trophy, go deep in Europe. If you give me that coupled with a title in League One, I think I'm willing to see years 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, I said this, 3-4 weeks ago, I'm still by it. I'm thinking this team is going to go and possibly all the way in the Champions League, because I think we saw in the Real Madrid game, if you focus on one game and do everything, you can go places. My thing is, over time, so the answer to the question, Diluted Steve, is yes. The whole slot thing is partially coming from the frustration, like we said, and not being able to come with the solution, or the genius solution that you thought you came up with was tried already and it didn't work. So I guess, so you look like an idiot now. My thing is, you can't change your mind every 3 days based on the game results. And that's what gets to me. I mean, you were talking about, and I'm kind of like that, the result of the game. And that's the thing about sucks of being a fan in the US, by the way, because now
ruins your whole day.
It ruins your whole day. Whereas, if it was at night, maybe you can sleep it off. But so it ruins your own day. But honestly, more than that, what ruins my day mostly, and I'm trying to avoid it now, is the ridiculous, toxic, negative attitude of some fans. That is what really pisses me off. And that kind of honestly, it kind of sours me from everything, because these people are the same people who made Slot a genius when he made halftime adjustments. When he made this, he made that last year. When he won with the team, that was a team that Klopp did not win with. I don't care whose team it was. If it was Klopp's team, then and Klopp was that much greater than Slot, then why didn't Klopp win with this team? Because he did not, and Slot did, regardless of what everybody else did. We finished it with freaking 4 or 5 weeks to go and won the title. So obviously the guy can manage. Obviously the guys are playing for him. Obviously the people that are in power who never gave Klopp this much money trust this guy and his skill set enough to give him
and these world-class players money. And these world-class players decided to join and fight to join this side under his leadership.
Turn down other options to come over here. Correct. But then this guy suddenly cannot manage. And I think that's what annoys me the most, because on set, if you can't have a guy stick to one theory and go with it. And I know your opinion on people might change over time, but fucking over time, not every 3 goddamn days. You're not a genius on Monday, a moron on Thursday, another genius on Sunday. You can't just constantly keep changing lanes like that. That's what gets to me most, especially you're being toxic negative as you're swerving down from lane to lane. That's what gets to me more than anything else. Even more than the losses, because also I know the moments we win 3 games, these guys will make Slots a hero again, and it'd be like, oh, he fixed it, he was the right guy and stuff like that. That's what really gets to me more than anything else. The Lewis Steve says all the way with that defending. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we defended against Real, right? I mean, this team in a single game, the problem we have now is I don't think they're good enough to do it consistently with rotation. I think that's the biggest issue, whereas they were in the past. And form is going to change. I don't think you're going to get Mo the way he is, because Mo is not the guy. That's what, for example, that pisses me off. It's one thing to say Mo's form is poor and he is not as effective. He's getting older or whatever, right? But saying Mo got the money and he stopped playing that's the kind of bullshit that gets to me, because you know better. You know how this guy is. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, listen, in my opinion, the whole rhetoric of what happens on socials, if I genuinely say this and I mean it, if I didn't run the socials for this channel and site, I would not be. You haven't seen a comment from Chris Galvin on Facebook in a Liverpool group in a long time, unless I'm fighting with
I recruited you from there, and you were
never. I was like, they can't know where the fuck I am. I'm going into the witness protection program, but literally the only time I think you've probably seen a comment, I think, is on those couple ridiculous posts. That were out there. And it's and we were just and I caught myself, and I almost that's the thing. I almost thought to myself at one point, I thought to myself, literally, I'm coming in with how much pot are you smoking in your parents' basement? In all seriousness, I can't take this seriously. And then I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're trolling with trolls. This doesn't help anyone. I used to just watch vicariously as Bickler fought with every LFC supporter across the land. And then he got a big boy job and he couldn't fight with people nearly as much. And I don't see half as many of his comments or snarky replies. And it just doesn't make my internet trolling that much more enjoyable. And to be honest, it just made me realize doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter if Actually, me and Adam had a knockdown drag out over Chelsea being the greatest team in the land a couple years ago. And I was like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I remember him telling me they were the, I don't know. I honestly always felt like he was a fake account of somebody else. Before
anonymous member was a thing. He was the anonymous member.
Yeah, exactly. When Nick Paquin was the only one representing the real out there in the good state of Maine.
Well, yeah, I mean, sadly, yeah, we're going into the
international
break
guys.
like this. We're welcoming the international break in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I painted a positive picture. So if you want to get positive, coming from me of all people, watch the morning show from this morning, because I do feel like you look at the schedule that is coming up, and I think we do have a chance to kind of like turn this around, but we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, we'll be able to kind of like talk about it over here. So tomorrow night, the panel should be on with Mateusz hosting, so you can get like the overall view of the title race and what everybody thinks there, because obviously now City is in the rearview mirror for Arsenal, which is probably a really scary thought for Arteta, and I'm here for it if nothing else. But hopefully we'll get in that rearview mirror in the next month or so. But thanks a lot for everybody for like joining the chats and commenting. And Jamie says, yes, we do keep freaking receipts. But always.
Wait till we share one of them Kirkez ones at the right opportunity.
Hit the likes, make sure you subscribe, and as I always say, grab a friend by the ear and drag their butt over here. We're still trying to reach this 1,500 that's been evading us, only a few away. So please help us spread the words. We'll be here next time, same time next week. We'll see what the hell Bickler is training people on. The scary thoughts by itself. But have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.